Welcome, kings and queens, to another episode of Unapologetic, your number one podcast. This is the show where kings and queens tell their legacies and on. So get ready for the gems to drop and pull up to the table because we're ready. Difficult task.
Well, thank you.
So yeah, of course. So what is like the next big goal for your QPR training?
I would like to become a master trainer. So what that encompasses is I will be able to train someone to do what I do as far as going out in the community and to train people. And so when I got trained at MCC in 2015, at that time, I believe it was only like 2 master trainers in the state of Michigan.
Really?
The lady that trained me actually came from Illinois. So if I could a master level trainer, to train other people, that would be like my goal. Is kind of like to make soldiers. If I want to build an army, soldiers, we gonna be out here saving lives. So that's like an ultimate goal of mine.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
so sound like you was really making a whole major pain.
Hey, you see, we about to be out here saving souls, so saving souls, saving lives. Yeah.
But I love hearing that, man. And it's, you don't hear it every day. Like, you're the only one of the few people that is consistently on this topic of mental health. And you even helped me out with my mental. I put it out there, y'all. It's no shame in my game. I need it too. So and it's so beneficial because it's almost like it's a big weight vest off your chest. Yep. And you're able to breathe finally after so long of being suffocated. And so when you have those type of moments, with the people you work with and possibly those that just call you spontaneous, what's the first reaction that you have? Because right then and there's a crisis, and most people can't think on a dime when there's a crisis, especially if you're trying to talk somebody off a ledge, so to speak. So what is like the first approach, even for me, so I can help an individual out?
Well, I take it, with different approaches with everybody. If they're like in the midst of actually like making an attempt, of course, the ultimate goal would be to talk them down. If they're just having thoughts or feeling sad, it's just kind of like doing some listening, because sometimes we don't want to listen. We're not trying to hear the person. So like, for instance, this morning when I talked to the young man, I explained to him, I introduced myself to him, and I said, I'm not going to just sit here and just tell you a whole bunch of statistics and stats. And I said, I have lived experience. I know what it's like as a parent to have a child that's in this state. And so I just asked him a question. When you woke up this morning, how are you feeling? Sometimes we don't ask people, how are you feeling? We always ask people, how are you doing? But if you ask somebody how you're feeling, it opens up more than sad. It gets into the whole gist of why they're there. So everybody's just different. I have a tendency to listen first before I get and offer any recommendations for referral, or asking the question, are you think about killing yourself? So I just kind of approach everybody differently. But I never go into a situation like rah. You've been around. I have a very calming spirit, and I begin to understand why God gave me that spirit of calmness. Right. You can't help someone, and you're like, oh my gosh, oh my goodness. So like, even to approach them in a calming manner is just like, oh wow, like I'm over here about to do something to myself, and here's this person comes in, and they're just like, oh, you okay? Like, how are you? And so, but just approaching them with compassion, of course, and a sense of calmness. I always tell people, do unto others that you would have to do unto you. It's just a simple golden rule. If you're in a crisis situation, how would you want someone to handle you?
And would you say for today's generation, they're really like mentally messed up because of what all that is going on? Because because one day me and a group of friends were just talking about like how we were being raised as kids, right? And some of the things wasn't all like, now that we're adults, we're like, that wasn't really a good idea at that moment. But you know, some of us turn out all right. But as we, you know, advanced in generations, it's like now we see the mental, you know, gaps and the challenges that each generation actually went through in their own way at that time.
Right.
So how do you keep up with the Joneses, so to speak? Because it's I know it has to be some type of difficulty sometimes.
Well, I think so. For instance, in African American communities, when you talk about you and your friends, just talking about how you was like raised and stuff, you think about it. We don't talk about mental illness. We don't talk about things that happen in the house. So what's happening is you're having 3 or 4 generations that's traumatized, that may have some issues, and so there, because we're not talking about it, it just kind of trickles down to where the younger generation um, can kind of sort of be the one to kind of break that generation curse by saying, something's wrong with me. I need to
Okay.
get help, if that makes sense. um, but I do think that the younger generation, and we have seen a
It's
increase in
crazy.
suicide ideation, especially during the pandemic. You know, you think about it when the world just shut down in Berkeley and we really didn't know what we're looking at. Um,
Right.
Cyberbullying was at an all time. Just during the pandemic, I had conversations with people who were bullied and thought about, you know, having suicide ideations to even attempts. So I think the younger generation could be the curse breaker because they're screaming for help. And some parents are paying attention and listening while other people, because their mother maybe did not do it for them or their grandmother did not do it for them. So that brokenness is not being healed versus the younger generation
Mm.
wants to be healed and they want to be whole. And you hear more, I think we're probably hearing more and more about mental health more than any. I mean, I'm 48 and this is probably like the last 10 years I'm hearing more and more about mental
Yeah.
health, mental illness, and even in African American community, I want to say like the last 3 or 4 years, we're hearing more and more conversations about having conversations, and some people actually getting the help that they need.
I mean, yeah, I'm excited about it, but it also it's I'm like doing the what's that, the Shakespeare smile and sad face at the same time, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, we're finally getting it, but damn, it took so long. Like, what the hell going on? So
It's that
you gotta be
generational curse
unapologetic
breaker.
about it, man. You gotta be real with oneself and others. And I feel like that is what QPR opens that door. Like, we have to be real with one another, you know, especially like you say in our Black community, and you help open that door for me to see, like, at certain situations that certain friends or certain groups I talk to, I gotta separate myself, you know, not just as a person, but if it affects me as a person, that means it affects me as a business owner, as a father, as a friend, as a brother. So that really connected with me from the talks that we had. And I see why it's so important for you to have that sit down moment and that relief, from venting with one person, a loved one. Sometimes it'd be a random person that you
Right,
meet in the
right.
elevator. Because I have great conversations sometimes. It'd be weird. You're like, all right, man, nice meeting you. Yeah, you too. I like the guy. You know, it's like, all right. So your gift, I say, it really does pass down to others.
Thank
And
you.
what I'm getting at is, I feel like that relates to also your poetry background, because you're able to speak and connect and relate to so many people with your words, because you had that, you know, that Lauren Hill flow or something, you know,
Well,
everybody
thank you.
going on.
So silly.
Is that the case?
um, I really, so my first poem was about love because I got my heart broken. And I realized that I couldn't continue to self sabotage with the drinking. And I wasn't smoking, but I was doing a lot of drinking, more than what I probably should.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
when the fall hit, I said, I can't continue in this destructive manner. So instead of me doing destructive things, I took that constructive and that destructive energy and behavior and put it into, I think I want to do a poetry group. And so with there, WAPS was evolved, and we had a great 10 years, and it brought other people out that had the platform to express themselves, and it was kind of like a Maury Povich, uh, but open mic version.
Yeah,
Everybody just
yeah.
kind of like just being raw and uncut. So, and now that I don't do poetry as far as a group, I do it here and there. But now it gives you an opportunity to take the creative side and expressive side and put it into plays. To take what is this person that's in a crisis situation, let's put it on screen and let's act it out and let's have some conversation behind it. And so that's another goal of the Risen production also.
Okay. I like that one. I like that one. So also I remember conversations to have. You brought that up too earlier. That is a great, I feel like, show that you created, man. It showed a lot of interest with the community. When is that coming back, and is that going to be tweaked? And can you give us a little give the audience background what it is? Because people are like,
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up because that is a project. So was it what last year we did it, the conversations to have?
yep,
It was pretty much a thought. I'm like, we just need to have these conversations. Just something just kept on sticking to me.
yep,
I said, okay, well, let me stage. If I had a TV show, it'd probably be called Conversations to Have, the untold story of them. And so with that, it's another platform that's been established and created to where individuals
right,
will come on and talk about issues. So I think when I did it in September, it was Suicide Awareness Month. So I had the individuals that talked about their bouts of suicide and depression and attempts. So I am going to continue the conversations. I will be back, I think in June, because June is Men's Health Awareness Month. And I want
okay.
to our men to talk about themselves,
Woo.
what they go through. And so as I tell people, when your husband or your father or your brother is not right, your home is not in good standing, your community is not in good standing. So we need to
Hmm.
give you guys men a platform to be able to say this is what I've been going through without being judged, and maybe wives and significant others will begin to understand, not so much the breakdown of the African American man, but the
Right.
brokenness. But then, what does healing look like? And
Ooh.
part of that is having some conversations. So that's going to take place in June,
Wow.
and I'm glad you're here because you'll be a part of that too.
Y'all see what I'm I can't wait. That's all
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yep. And then I'll be back in September doing Suicide Awareness Week. And I think I'm going to
Okay.
highlight the youth. I want to give the youth a platform to express themselves. There may be a two-part. That may be a
Are we talking
two-part, but
like high school age?
I think I might go as young as middle school. Maybe the seventh and eighth graders. I probably maybe do like the seventh graders, seventh and eighth graders, and then highlight some high school students. And I say seventh grade. So like last year, I was at the middle school and I did a mental health training, and I was amazed at what those kids knew when it came to mental health. Like they were able to say they were diagnosed with this, or they knew somebody was diagnosed with bipolar, schizophrenia. It was some kids that were actual cutters, some kids who had some suicide ideation, but the openness to share their experiences and what they have been going through, even like bouts of like being bullied, cyberbullied. And so I said, these babies need a platform to where their parents or their peers or the community
Right.
need to hear
This is the
their
future.
voice. Yeah, exactly. These are, I call them the teeny boppers, but this is our future. And if we can get them now and hear them and support them, then we probably won't have high increases in suicide ideations or suicide attempts, and people being shipped off here and there. So I'm going to give them a voice in September. I'm going to
I
give them a
can't wait
voice in September.
to have the men version of conversation to have, because that's rare. I really don't hear or have the, like, people say, like, and I'm not knocking nobody that's famous or nothing, like TD Jakes and all those, emotional speakers and whatnot. They're great in their own way, but
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of times they don't talk to the individual. They talk to the masses.
Right.
You know, so
And
which
yep.
it's a big difference, you know.